Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from Drive-Thru RPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got Lineages, suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. Before we dive into this week's titles, I want to let you know about a massive sale that's happening on both Drive-Thru RPG and DM's Guild, and it lasts all the way through March 13th. Nearly every title is on sale except for new releases, and they've got a wide range of discounts available, so you might want to check your wish list or any titles you've been eyeing. Every single Splinterverse media book is on sale. I mean, it is just sale, sale, sale everywhere, and if you click any link in any of our videos to go to these sites and make purchases for the sale, we are going to get a small percentage. So I hope you start your journey through the discounts with a click on one of our links. All right, before we get into the titles, I also need to tell you about our special exclusive discount this week. As you know, we started a program this year where we're giving you free content throughout the week on all our social media channels, and exclusive discounts are in the mix every Monday because we have Money Saving Mondays. And this week, our exclusive discount, not available anywhere else, is on Allies and Antagonists, which is a massive book of NPCs. And you can see it's part of that big sale I just told you about right now. But it's going to be even less with our exclusive discount, which is linked in the video description. So you'll want to take advantage of that. It's going to be cheaper than even the GM's Day sale. So you want to grab it at that lowest price. And this is a massive book. You can see they've got tons and tons of NPCs for you, 100 of them, each with art, lore, and game stats. Some of them even have special magic items. It's hyperlinked, and it's 200 pages. And the challenge rating of these NPCs ranges from 1 all the way up to 20. And what's cool is they can be villains or they can be allies, as the title suggests. So whichever way you want to go with these, you've got options. Whatever level range your party's in, you've got options. And you can pull pieces from these. You can even just use the names of the characters or the stat block, give it a different name. You have a ton of options when you have 100 pages of NPCs to play with. So looking inside, you can see 21 of those 202 pages for free in the full-size preview if you want. So that'll give you a good idea. There's some beautiful artwork in here, but you can see you've got Asta Vinificus here with the full stat block, a bunch of lore, legendary actions even, and then you go right into the artwork, which is really cool. So tons of stuff in here on offer, giving you options at your fingertips. You never know when you're going to need an NPC, because somebody's going to say, well, who's the shopkeeper, or who's in charge of this place, or whatever, right? And you can go through here and say, well, I need somebody around a challenge 10. So here we go. We got a Apocryphel and a Rael, I guess. And then there's the cool picture of that character. So just tons and tons of characters, each with really cool artwork. And what's also really nice is because the artwork is on its own page, you could safely like hold this up to your player and show it to them and say, hey, here's what they look like, without having to expose any of the stat blocks, etc. And I think that could be really cool. So you've got Barbarian. I can't say any of these names. they're kind of out there names, but it's cool. It works for the fantasy setting, and we'll read about one of them in just a second here. Let's see, Beluasuro. Yeah, let's read about Beluasuro. Though the influence of demons and fiends is often kept in check by the actions of good mortal beings and noble celestials alike, demonkind still relentlessly seek ways to spread their baleful influence. Secret demon-worshipping cults will slowly preach teachings of lust for power, greed, and that is the birthright of mortals to subjugate nature and other lesser beings to their will. Diabolists are magic users who, inherently following their own selfish pursuits, have been seduced by such teachings, also known as the 𝙬𝙗𝙬𝙬𝙬. These beings have bound themselves into a pact with the darkest of evil creatures, those hungering for the souls of others. Their patrons will often give a diabolist just a hint of forbidden magic unknown to all but a few of their most loyal servants, promising unrestrained power. Blinded by their lust for such powers, the 𝙬𝙗𝙬𝙬𝙬 seek the fastest methods to accumulate power and will often perform actions and rites that make even other beings hesitate. So this is like basically a creature that can be any race, and it's got all kinds of spell casting, unholy pact here, self-immolation, and it goes into deep detail on the lore of those special actions and traits for the monster. And I think that's just really cool. Super detailed. Love how everything is illustrated and has lore and the wide range of CRs. So remember, you're going to get an exclusive discount. You're not going to get anywhere else. It only lasts a limited time. This one I think runs for just a few more days. So if you want to get it better, even better deal than the sale right now, you're going to want to click that link in the video description and grab yourself some allies and antagonists. All right, our first title from DM's Guild this week is 101 Trinkets Found on a Dead Adventurer's Body. And it's by David Stevens. It's $1.50 for 9 pages. It introduces 100 new trinkets that you might find on the body of an adventurer who's lost. And the author, David, has made a name just writing about trinkets, among other things, and you can see quite a few titles from David down here covering trinkets. So if somebody knows how to write trinkets, it's David, because David's released so many titles that have to do with trinkets, and I've purchased a few of these, and I enjoy the detail that David puts into it. So let's take a look inside. You get to see 6 pages, so out of the 100 trinkets you get to see more than half of them, actually all of them. So that's really kind of David to give you a full preview here, which is nice. So we'll just pick 2 or 3 to read for you because we want you to purchase the book and support David's efforts to do this for you. We also want you to have a copy for yourself, so you can start sprinkling these trinkets in there. You know, trinkets are not just great to find on corpses. They can be things that your characters start with. They can be things that just randomly are in a room, so they can kind of be like set dressing for your dungeon or whatever. So they have a lot of value beyond you know, whatever the theme is for each of David's books. So we've got a set of 3 skeleton keys on an iron ring. We've got a lucky silver coin attached to a leather string. We've got a pair of deerskin breeches made in a masculine style. And then we've also got a small indigo crystal with a bit of water trapped inside. So all of these are fun, flavorful, you know, rather than just saying, oh, there's a pouch of gold and a rusty sword or whatever on the body. You could add one of these things to the body as well, which is pretty cool. And, you know, like I said, they can be part of a character's loot or even a monster's loot. Maybe a monster saw something shiny and picked it up, and you're able to see what that is when you loot the monster. So really cool. I like it a lot. I think you should check it out under 101 Trinkets in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Acid Spells, 25 new corrosive spells from Nearsighted Games. It's $1.99 for 10 pages. says get the drop on your enemies with 25 new acid spells. These spells are themed around acid, slime, and corrosion, including new acid themed spells for every spellcasting class, including artificers, more acid damage dealing cantrips like acid blast, corrosive touch, and bile, utility spells that can melt objects like dissolve and erosion, the ability to summon a gelatinous cube with conjure ooze, and toxic tsunami, a devastating wave of acid that can wipe out the opposition. And there's 4 bonus spells previously from other books as well. So lots and lots of spells to be had in here. You can see, looking inside, you get to see 2 of the 10 pages that they've got quite a few cantrips all the way through level 9. So at least 1 spell for every single letter. And it looks like they've got nice names like Acid Rain, Liquefy, Toxic Geyser, Scathing Slime. So they all seem very thematic with the goal of the book, focusing on acid stuff and ooze. So let's pick a couple spells to read here. So we've got Acid Blast. It's a cantrip. It's a range of 60 feet, instantaneous. You direct a concentrated blast of acid at one creature within range. Make a ranged spell attack. On a hit, the creature takes 2d4 acid damage. If your ranged spell attack scores a critical hit, that target's AC is reduced by 1 until the start of its next turn. And then it has upcasting, so the damage increases at various levels. And then we've got Toxic Coat, which is another cantrip. It's a bonus action, and it takes it lasts 1 round, and it's a range of touch. You touch 1 non-magical object and cover it with a thin coat of bubbling acid. The coated object takes no damage from this acid. The next time a creature other than you touches this object before the start of your next turn, that creature takes 2d4 acid damage. If the object is a non-magical weapon, the creature holding the weapon at the time of casting takes no damage from this spell, and the next attack made with that weapon before the start of your next turn deals 2d4 acid damage, and then it also has upcasting, which is nice. Makes those cantrips more valuable down the road when you run out of spell slots and you're a higher level. So much appreciated. And yeah, that's under acid spells in the links in the video description. Give it a click and check it out. Next, we have Ancient White Dragon of the Star Mounts, and this is part 13 of the Sword Coast Coup Adventure series from Justin Gagliani. It's $4.99 for 31 pages, and it can stand alone or it can be part of this multi-part campaign. It's written for 4 level 13 NPCs and can take anywhere from 1 to 3 4-hour sessions to complete. It says in part 12, our heroes had to flee Waterdeep from being taken over by the main villain of our campaign. Now in part 13, they are called on to travel to the Star Mounts to slay an ancient white dragon named Potbingso. They meet up with a nature gang of bad people called Luna Nostra, and they work together to climb the Alpine Mountains or travel within part of the mountain itself. It's full of Arctic danger, fun encounters, great NPCs, and an appendix with all the information you need to run the adventure. So yeah, this series has been going on for a while, which is nice. You don't often see third-party series that basically provide a full campaign when it comes to adventures. So you get to see 6 of the 31 pages in the preview. And what I was noticing when I looked at it earlier was this whole Arctic forest random encounters, how big these sections are, because it really goes into detail. And you can use that outside of this adventure. You know, you can use it as a Rime of the Frost Maiden random encounter, or anywhere you have an Arctic forest. So let's see if we can read one of these for you. It says, still very cold, but there doesn't seem to be snow, at least, and the shining sun does lift your spirits a little on this day. Make a perception check, DC 15. You hear a whimper ahead of you. It sounds like it is coming from an animal of some kind. There's a small outcropping of trees and a rocky section of the land where a large white wolf seems to be injured, laying in the snow. As you approach, the wolf speaks to you in common. Please, my leg. It attempts to stand up, but quickly falls under its own weight. I must get back to my family. If any of the players ask to roll Insider Medicine, the DC is 15 to realize the wolf is uninjured and lying. But if anyone gets within 5 feet of the winter wolf, they will have to make a Dex saving throw, or their leg gets crushed in a hidden bear trap. Roll for initiative. Lying in wait are 2 more winter wolves, as well as 4 berserkers and 4 archers. This hunting party of cannibals cannot be reasoned with. So, yeah, if you pull this out and put it in another situation, you might have to adjust, the encounter a little bit in terms of the number of enemies. But still, it's a good idea, and you've got all the kinds of checks that you would need to do. You might have to adjust those a little bit, but the meat of what you need to have a cool little encounter with this winter wolf is there, and that's just one in this table. So, this author is obviously putting a lot of time, energy, and words toward this, making this really long campaign adventure, which is cool. Like I said, you don't often get so much detail and so many parts to these kinds of adventures. So I think you should check it out under Ancient White Dragon of the Star Mounts in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Classing It Up. Barbarians Rage On, Paths, Totems, and Primitive Weapons from Anjasvar. It's $2.95 for 20 pages. It says, enhance the barbarians in your game with all new paths, weapons, and magic items. There's 9 completely new paths, 4 complete NPC stat blocks of varying levels, highlighting new paths, a whole table full of new primitive weapons, 7 new magic items for all flavors of barbarians, and huge tribal camp map with full-size versions of the map, so you can download and use it in VTT or print it out. The new paths range from those centered on the changing seasons, the Path of the Predator for those that relish the chase of their prey, the Path of the City for barbarians living in more inhabited areas, and an expanded Path of the Totem Warrior featuring 8 new spirits, aspects, and attunements. Included is an entire table of primitive weapons for all kinds of fighters, with everything from bear claw blades to feared saber-tooth club. And then you've got magic items and maps, so lots of goodness in this book. Looking inside, you can see all 20 pages. So you can read the whole book. And you can see it's got a nice layout, very easy to read. Lots of artwork to enjoy as you go through this. And then this map at the end looks really cool with the tribal camp. You got all these weapons here, and then tons of subclasses. So we'll just read the lore about one of the subclasses, and then we will read one of those magic items for you. Because I want you to, since you can read the whole book, you might as well come over here and take a look at it on your own. But let's zoom in and try to read about the Path of Autumn here. Some of the least encountered barbarians are those who follow the Path of Autumn. Driven to peace, conflict, resolution, and aiding others, they defy the traditional aspects that others may expect of them. Although slow to anger and more disposed to avoiding conflict if at all possible, barbarians who follow this path are not pushovers in any sense. Many have found that once polite negotiations have reached an impasse, or a promise is broken, the much feared temper of all barbarians is just as present in these adherents as any other. It's got abilities like Healing Breeze, Dance of the Leaves, Resting Spirit, Peacemaker. Those all sound very thematic. And then there's even a magic item here, Shield of Goodwill, that relates to that one. And then you got Path of the Spring as you go through the rest. But let's go down to the end and just read one of these items as well. These barbarian weapons, which is nice because you need some of these detailed extra weapons, since it gets boring just using the same ones all the time, right? So you've got the Ancestors Club. This wooden great club has a ritually prepared hardened upper skull of a revered ancestor affixed to the top. The air rushing through the eye sockets creates a fearsome whistling noise that instills fear in opponents. Humanoid opponents within 5 feet of the wielder, while they are using the Ancestors Club in combat, must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the end of their next turn. A successful save provides protection from this effect for 24 hours. So pretty cool, and that's just one. They've got a whole table of these. And look at this map. What a cool map. And it's got autumn trees, regular trees, so it could fit appropriately with all of the seasons. You could, maybe not with winter, but most of the seasons this would work. So very cool. I like it. It's even got a little pin for the horse here and quite a bit of tents going on. So I like it a lot. And seems like this book has a ton of stuff. So if you are at all interested in playing a barbarian, maybe you already have a barbarian character or you want to create one, I would urge you to check this out. It's got a lot of fun stuff in it and is under Classing It Up in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Coldwillow Hollow, a Domain of Delight, Feywild adventure for first level characters by J.W. Rose. It's $3.49 for 24 pages. It says, explore the wintry Feywild in this Domain of Delight. Coldwillow Hollow is an enchanted land of mystery and magic where two whimsical but reclusive archfey hold dominion. It's not often that adventurers enter this winter wonderland, but those who do find themselves charmed by the place's mystical and musical atmosphere. It's a 4 to 8 hour adventure for first level characters. It includes 23-page adventure featuring quests, maps, and points of exploration, original creatures, unique magic items, and charming NPCs. And it's got a playable subrace of gnomes that is native to this Domain of Delight. So, Domains of Delight are newer. They had Domains of Dread with Ravenloft, and now they've got Domains of Delight for the Feywild. And looking inside, you get to see 8 pages out of the 24. So you've got your intro, all the chapters of the adventure, as well as magic items and creatures and NPCs in the appendix. And I love that they have this little chart here featuring the creatures by challenge rating. So you can see everything from a 0 all the way to a 13 in here. So pretty cool, reusable lists there. And quickly get to those as well by looking at that list, which I appreciate. So you've got some flavor text in here we'll read, and then you've got a whole map of the domain. And what I'll pause here and say is that, since this concept's been introduced, I've been kind of monitoring other domains because, we did the book Feywild Companion, and we released our domain delight called Dualis in that, and we had a big, beautiful map. Of course, Wild Beyond the Witchlight has a beautiful map of Prismeer. And I've only seen, aside from this one we're looking at now, one other Domain of Delight come with a map. So this would be the 4th Domain of Delight that has a map now, and that excites me. I like the notion of having as many Domains of Delight available to DMs as possible. And when they have maps, I think that's really helpful for them to get a sense of where things are located in the region. And now we have 4 of them. The other one, I don't remember the title offhand. This is our 44th episode, and it was in one of the episodes. I can look it up if anybody really wants to know. Just let me know in the comments. But yeah, you can see they've got this really cool map here for Coldwillow Hollow, showing the manor, Old Man Northbeard's place, the Saltwither Hot Springs, Humming Pond, the Sunless Lake, Frosty's Fort, all the different things that you're going to encounter in this adventure. So I'm excited by that. And when I saw this, I was like, all right, cool. So now we have 4 that have maps, at least that I've seen. There may be others out there that I just haven't encountered yet. But I've seen 4 now, which is awesome. So let's read a little bit of the flavor text to get you in the mood for this adventure. We'll read this here. Introducing Killick's quest. It says, you arrive at a humble potion shop called Two Tonics to meet a halfling named 𝘽𝙤𝙤 𝙤𝙤 about a job offer. He is waiting outside the shop, smoking a cob pipe. When he sees you approaching, 𝙤𝙤 grins, gives a friendly wave, and tucks the pipe behind his ears. I'm happy to see some capable-looking folk answered my job posting. 𝘽𝙤𝙤 𝙤𝙤 at your service. Let's talk business. This halfling taps his fingers together as he speaks. The task itself is simple. I need you to catch these bugs, golden twilight longhoppers, and bring them to me. 𝙤𝙤 shows you a hand-drawn sketch of an insect that looks like a common grasshopper before continuing. The hard part is, these critters aren't easy to get. First, they're big bugs the size of house cats. Second, they're from the area called Coldwillow Hollow in the Feywild, and that ain't an easy place to get to. Lucky for us, I know a way in. An old hag told me that if you drink a swig of plum juice and step through a tree hollow at sundown, you'll get into Coldwillow Hollow. I know it all sounds crazy, but I promise I will make it worth your time. What do you say? Can I hire you to go catch me some bugs? So it sounds like a cute character. And I like the name 𝙤𝙤. And that's just how it kicks off. And you've got optional weird magic in here, it looks like. And, just a fun little adventure in the Feywild. Maybe you're looking for something new. It looks like there's quite a few quests you can add. And we're only getting to see 8 of the 24 pages. So I'm sure there's a lot more goodness awaiting you in those other pages. And it's only $3.49. Pretty cool deal. So check it out in the links in the video description under Coldwillow Hollow and give it a click. Next, we have Damnation, an adventure about goblins and dams told from two perspectives. And it's by Ivan Atanasov, and it is a suggested price of $4 on Pay What You Want for 26 pages. It says 20 years ago, the humans built a dam and flooded Gormalin Valley. They drove the Cinderborn goblins away from their land, but now the Cinderborn are back, and they want vengeance. The dam must fall, and the human towns must drown. Plays this adventure from the perspective of the heroes, or from the perspective of the monsters, quote unquote. Discover each side's capacity for good and evil, fuel the cycle of vengeance, or end it by forging peace. So when I saw this, I was so excited because I was like, you don't really see that where you can play the adventure from two different angles. So you have the hero's tale where the players control a traditional heroic party. They get to attend a wine festival, save a town from a flood, dive to the bottom of a lake, choose between retaliation and negotiation, and face a demon atop the dam as he attempts to demolish it. But in the Goblin's Tale, the other side of the story, the players take control of a party of goblins. As the Cinderborn, they must deal with human spies, sneak into a wizard's tower, trigger a catastrophic flood, choose between peace and vengeance, face their own demonic leader, or aid him in breaking the dam. And both are for parties of 3 to 4 on the level. And then you've got a map and some goblin pre-gens. So I think pre-gens are really important if you're having people play outside of the normal kind of characters, so it's helpful they did that here. But I love this concept of being able to play both sides. There is this ongoing debate, about quote-unquote monsters and labeling creatures as monsters. Are they really monsters? Are all of them evil? The word monster kind of implies that they're bad. So people are really doing different things to show, hey, it's not all so black and white, and that maybe some of these monsters are good as well. So books like this help further that, help educate people thinking more three-dimensionally as opposed to, two-dimensionally boxing everybody into things. So I really appreciate that. Excited to see this. So check it out under Damnation in the links below and give it a click. Next, before you give it a click, let's take a look inside. Got ahead of myself there. So you've got the adventure background. You get to see 6 of those pages. And look at this. They've got the flow for each of the parts, for each side. And this is beautiful inside. You've got really nice layout. Lots of white space, some good artwork. Let's read some of the plot hooks. So you've got the human plot hooks and then the goblin plot hooks. So we'll read one from each. So for human anthropologist, it says, the Imperial College of Anthropology has chosen you as their envoy to the Gormalin Valley. It falls on you to study the goblin population, evaluate the danger they might pose to the Empire, and determine whether they can be reasoned with and integrated. Otherwise, measures would have to be taken for their eradication. After your research is done, you must report back to the authorities. So that's a good angle. You get to find, whether you need to eradicate or integrate these creatures. So it really positions you for that ethical dilemma and trying to get a deeper understanding of this population, which I think is a perfect setup for this kind of adventure. Then you've got goblin plot hooks. The first one is Old Timer. You remember the old days when the goblins still lived in their caves and worshipped the great spirit 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙤𝙤𝙢. Before the humans came, you still had your traditions and rituals and your dignity. Nowadays, the goblins have become scavengers and marauders, a far cry from their glorious past. I laugh because I'm just terrible today at pronouncing things, which if you've watched enough of these episodes, you know that is not uncommon. So anyway, that sounds fun. I mean, you have the great spirit involved, and then, you talking about traditions and rituals. It's kind of a good framing setup for a story. And we just read 2. There's a bunch here you can see. So I really think this author's put a lot of time, energy into this, and the writing's pretty good. So I think as I said earlier, you need to go to the video description links and click Damnation and give it a purchase. All right, next we've got The Dragon Witch of Rashemen, and it lets you explore the lore and magic of Rashemen and its witches in this 12 to 18 hour adventure for 7th level characters. So, there was the whole Rashemen supplement that came out that we covered on the channel a couple months ago, I guess. and it's been really popular. It's covering an area of the Forgotten Realms that hasn't really gotten coverage by Wizards for this edition, and so it's been pretty cool to see. And now we have an adventure that takes place there, and it's from Andrew Bishkinski. And Andrew was the winner of the 2021 D&D Dungeon Master Challenge that Wizards of the Coast put on. So they had to do each week they had a different challenge as a DM that they had to submit how they would handle it. And so it's really cool competition. And Andrew won that, and I believe was involved also in the Rashemen book, and lots of other good stuff. But this one is $9.99 for 87 pages. And it says, explore Rashemen, meet or play witches, and encounter dragons. And it's a sprawling and cinematic 12 to 18-hour storyline. It says you can get invested into the story for going conventional adventure hooks. The Dragon Witch of Rashemen uses the group patron concept to introduce two unique patrons, the Witches of Rashemen and a professor of ancient history with very specific interests. By aligning with one of these patrons, the players can create characters instantly invested in the adventure story. So I like that. It's got DM guidance and session 0 built in. It's inspired by recent releases. In addition to making use of group patrons, the adventure uses many concepts from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and several locations featured in the Rashemen campaign guide. So you can get your money's worth out of that book too, and hopefully you grab that. Maps, handouts, stat blocks, and everything else needed to run the adventure. And it's got beautiful illustrations. So it's got 12 different parts, 3 urban centers to visit, 5 notable dungeon or wilderness locations, 12 plus NPCs, just tons of stuff. And you can see really cool artwork, and layouts pretty good. You can see some white space so that your eye gets some room to rest. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 17 of those 87 pages. And zooming in here, we can see that it's got all these parts to the action here, so that you can even arrange your session. Sometimes you might want to arrange a session around a part, which I think is helpful. And then you've got all your stats, your handouts, timeline, maps, spells, backgrounds, magic items, and all sorts of fun stuff. And then it goes right into the adventure summary with the background and some resources here, including pronunciation and important terms. And then here's your whole session 0, the character creation, and some read aloud text, which we'll get back to in a minute. We'll read some of that for you. But yeah, just fun stuff going on in here, and I love that it gives you the opportunity to really take advantage of the Forgotten Realms outside of the coast, right? We're always on the coast, but this is giving you other areas that you can get into and explore, especially if you have Rashemen. I'm sure this works without having purchased that book, but hopefully you did, because I think it's a really great work, and it's so nice to have it expand what's available to you if you're interested in the Forgotten Realms. So let me just read this little part here. It says, this adventure takes place in Rashemen and its neighboring lands. Rashemen is a land ruled by its wise women, known as the 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤, or more commonly as the Witches of Rashemen. In this adventure, 2 groups of people come together to assist each other on a quest. On one side is the talented 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙬 on a rite of passage to achieve the rank of Hathran, or leader, among her order. Accompanying her may be any number of Rashemeni characters. These may be friends of the witch, or those looking to complete their own 𝙦𝙦𝙦𝙦, the traditional Rashemi rite of passage that involves travel and adventure. The quest given to the witch is twofold and involves accompanying foreign archaeologists to explore culturally significant ruins, while also investigating a reported dragon sighting in a distant village. The second group is the adventuring archaeologists, who have been sent by a watered Davian historian keen on finding lore on the long-dead empire of Raumathar. With the Witches of Rashemen being the guardians of Ramvari knowledge, the historian has hired respectful adventurers to search for books in Raumathari ruins with the permission and oversight of the 𝙽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬. For the adventure, players can take on any of the following roles: the 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙦 on her journey, members of her Rashemen retinue, or the adventuring archaeologist hired by the scholar. There's no requirements for the players to fill all of these roles, nor does it grant any advantage. For example, if no one chooses to play the witch, a fully fleshed out NPC witch will accompany the party. Characters start at 7th level and will level to 8th during the adventure. Regardless of patron, characters created for this party should be respectful toward observing the traditions of Rashemen and the will of the 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙦. So, nice little setup, getting you prepared, and I like that there's all these tips on playing a 𝙎𝙤𝙤𝙦, the different ranks and historical events, as well as just starting you out with those connections to the adventure, because a lot of times you have to make those up and work on those as you start, but this is giving you the option to have it already picked between two options that weave neatly into the story. So very, very helpful. And I think this has got a lot of value for you, especially if you already own Rashemen. But I could see value outside of that, because you've got all these characters, these NPCs, locations, and things that you can use even outside of Rashemen. You can adapt it for something else. So I think it's definitely worth the money, and it's available in the video description links under Dragon Witch of Rashemen. Give it a click. Next we have Eldritch Blast is History. Eldritch Invocations Volume 2 for $2 from Tavern Stories. It's 12 pages. It gives you 25 new Eldritch Invocations that are themed around 5 different cantrips. Each has a 2nd level Warlock NPC stat block to kickstart bringing these invocations into your campaign, and they have a short story of what the Warlock can become and a story to inspire. So all of the cantrips are ones that you know, like Acid Splash and Blade Ward and Mind Sliver. And so what the book does is it presents that cantrip, like in this case, Acid Splash, and then here's a whole description of Acid Splash, and then you've got the different Eldritch invocations that kind of connect to that. So they're kind of tying in that cantrip to these other invocations. So, Eldritch Blast is commonly used by a Warlock. I'm playing a Warlock in my campaign right now, and I'm using it a lot. And I think what this book is trying to say is, hey, there's these other cantrips, and if we give you invocations that tie into them, maybe you'll think to use one of those instead of always using Eldritch Blast every time you're in a Warlock. So I really appreciate that as someone who plays Warlocks. Having options. So let's just read a little bit about Acid Splash here. Acid has the power of corrosion to dissolve any object, to liquefy enemies into an unrecognizable goo. It comes from research experiments gone wrong, chemical waste that comes to life, or giant slimes. Acid brings that feel of power. However, it isn't used very often. We wanted to keep the destructive nature of acid while giving it a niche to amplify the theme. This cantrip focuses on the demise of armored foes, giving you the possibility to reduce their armor. That's not all, though. If someone tries to attack you, they can say goodbye to their damage output as you corrode their weapons. So you've got 5 different ones. We're not going to read all of them, but we'll read a few. So corrosion, you learn the Acid Splash cantrip. It counts as a Warlock cantrip for you, but it doesn't count against your number of cantrips known. When the target fails its saving throw, its AC is reduced by 1 permanently through non-magical equipment. So that's good. Let's see what else. We've got Shield Breaker. When you target a creature with Acid Splash, you may choose to specifically attack a non-magical shield. The creature can make a dex saving throw on a failed save, or if the shield gives less than 2 AC, the shield is destroyed. And then Dissolving Lock. It says when someone tries to lockpick a mechanical lock, you can use your acidic knowledge to lower the DC by 1d4. And that's just one. And then you see down here, okay, it's got a little short story called The Robbery. And then you've got this character, Fernanda, that uses 2 of the Eldritch invocations. And, of course, Acid Splash. So that if you want to have even just NPCs using some of these different abilities, you have that option through this book. So I like it. I think it's fun to mix it up. So check it out under Eldritch Blast is History in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Koa's Better PHB Lineages, and it's from Koa the DM. or Koa Johnson, and it's got a suggested price of $250 on Pay What You Want for 8 pages. It says, filling in what Monsters of the Multiverse left untouched. In Monsters of the Multiverse, they updated and rebalanced nearly every lineage, spanning multiple modules and books into one neat package. However, they failed to update the races listed in the player's handbook, so this product fills in where they've failed to do so. This project isn't just a simple rewording document of the races listed in PHB. It also includes brand new changes to racial features and the addition of new racial features for the races listed in the PHB. A lot of them were outclassed and outflavored by the new lineages, so this product adds in new features that keep the flavor and originality of the race, but buffs them so they are more in line with the other lineages or other races. Some of the most heavily affected ones are half-elves, dwarves, and humans, as in the PHB. Part of their design was having more ability score improvements in comparison to other lineages, and the new design of lineages or races does not have any change or suggestions when it comes to ability score improvements. In addition to power creep, this makes these races practically unchoosable because of their lack of racial features, which is now fixed with this product. Yeah, and there's just so much confusion over calling things races or lineages, and then there's this whole mechanic called lineages. So it gets really confusing. I'm looking forward to the day when Wizards renames it to ancestries or cultures or something other than races, because it's become quite confusing for people. All right, so here we've got 4 pages of the 8 visible, so you get to see quite a few of those changes. And I'm guessing the italicized areas are kind of highlighting what's different, although we don't see the instructions on that. It's probably in one of the earlier pages that we're not seeing. So we'll just look at some of the changes to the dwarf and the elf here. So the dwarf, it says, dark vision thanks to your dwarvish heritage. It now says here at the beginning. And then dwarven combat training, you have proficiency with 4 weapons of your choice. And then sturdy constitution, your speed is not reduced by armor. You do not suffer any ill effects from sleeping in armor, and you do not suffer any consequences from gaining 1 level of exhaustion, and instead feel the effects of exhaustion once you reach 2 levels of exhaustion. And then elf over here, the changes are thanks to your elvish heritage, again with dark vision. It doesn't look like anything else is changing in the base stuff, but then some of the individual things like the drow here, it says drow magic, the dancing lights cantrips. Okay, so that was already there, and it's just changing the language down here on what you pick, but it's also got things like you have proficiency with 3 weapons of your choice, and many drow have learned to thrive in the Underdark, and some of these lessons have become part of being a drow. As such, you have proficiency in the stealth skill, and creatures that take the search to spot you using blindside have disadvantage on their perception checks made to find you. So yeah, you can read through here. You can see all the major changes. Even talks about the Eladrin here on the half-elf page. Yeah, there's a significant amount you can read through here in the sample and see if it works through. You could also pay $0, download it, read the whole thing, and then come back and pay more if you decide you want to use it. But all in all, I'm happy to see someone taking a stab at cleaning it up, bringing it more in line with what's out there in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, because it's kind of hard because you've got the old ones, the new ones, and the power level of the newer ones is a little higher maybe. So I get the challenge, and I'm happy to see somebody taking a stab at it. So here we go. It's under Better PHP Lineages in the links below. Actually, it's under Koa's Better PHP Lineages in the links below. So give it a click and check it out. Next, we've got Korred Clans, which is an adventure supplement for Chapter 4 of Wild Beyond the Witchlight called Yon, and it's by Daniel Kahn. It's $2.95 for 12 pages. It says, the splintered realm of Yon is plagued with the presence of Indolin Moongrave, the hag better known to some as Bitter End. While the brigand Nox of the mines battle the Korreds of the mountainside, none stand a chance to strike at her alone, even amongst the Korreds' own. Discord spreads, stifling the groups and laying them scattered. Can the heroes convince the 8 Korred clans to reunite and commit to the fight for Yon? So it basically, is taking that portion of Prismare called Yon and expanding upon it. So each of the locations presented in this chapter can be explored quickly outside of Motherhorn, but this mini adventure aims to expand on the Korred population in the Yon beyond the short social encounter that's included in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And so it says Lockberry Hinge is one of major locations in Chapter 4 Yon. The story explains that the Korreds no longer hold gatherings there out of fear of Indolin Moongrave. According to the book, in order to remain safe, the Korreds have ensconced themselves in stone indefinitely. The book mentions that there are, in fact, 8 Korred clans, but provides little details about these clans. This adventure fleshes out each of these clans with short adventures that can be woven together as the party chooses. So, as always, it's up to you how much of this you want to use and incorporate into your Wild Beyond the Witchlight. But if you've played it many times or multiple times or going to play it again and you want to mix it up, this series that Daniel Kahn's been doing is really giving you those options to shake things up and just say, okay, there's going to be something a little different this time. I think it's cool that you've got the option to find out about all these Korred clans because they're not covered in the original, right? So they've got all the different characters listed here. It says Argental of Shale and Jagu of Chalk request that the party deal with the Briganock threat in order to convince them and their clans to join. And then Budok of Flint requests that the party help him deal with a mite infestation plaguing the Flint clan. And Azul of Granite invites the party to prove themselves in an athletic competition. So there's varied quests that involve all of these different clans. And then you can see it's got really nice layout and maps as well as flavor text to read and some magic items and some puzzles. So, and again, it's just part of this ongoing series to expand Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Giving you some different directions to go, to mix it up. You could also place these things in other domains of delight. We talked about a new one this week. Earlier in the episode, you've got Dualis and Feywild Companion. So all of these things can be repurposed into other domains of delight in the Feywild as well. So lots of value for that $2.95, and I think you should grab it. It's under Korred Clans in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Lord Heimhart's Collection of Magical Items, Volume 11, Melee Weapons, Simple, and it's $3 from Jordan Jones for 7 pages. Weapons were one of Lord Heimhart's favorite things to collect. In particular, he liked acquiring powerful melee weapons. It has taken years to catalog and identify them, but we present you the simple melee weapons from his collection. Some are more common, but a couple of them are unique artifacts that have very unique properties. And you can see the full list here. There's also a bundle at the bottom to consider where you can get a bunch of Lord Heimhart's collections of magic items together for a lesser price because they're bundled together. But you get to see 2 of those 7 pages in the preview. And so it's got the full list of all of the weapons, everything from Club of Heroism all the way down to something called Malevolent Edge, which sounds like a cool name for a weapon. And you can see it's very clean, easy to read. I like the white background, makes it the text just leap off the page. So let's see. Let's find a few to read here. Let's start with the Club of Heroism. This club was finely carved from a rare wood and enchanted in a far-off land. While attuned to this club, you can speak a command word and a burst of arcane energy pulses from the club. All allies within 20 feet are imbued with bravery for 10 minutes or until you drop to 0 hit points. Until the effect ends, all enemies within 20 feet are immune to being frightened and gain temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier at the start of each of its turns. So, fun little item. Then we've got something called the Bye-Bye Dagger. It's a legendary, requires attunement. It has 3 charges. When you make an attack, you can expend 1 charge and concentrate to attempt to send that creature to another plane of existence. The target must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be banished. If the target is native to the plane of existence you're on, you banish the target to a harmless demi-plane. While there, the target is incapacitated. The target remains there for 1 minute, at which point the target reappears in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space if the space is occupied. If the target is native to a plane of existence that other than the one you're on. The target is banished with a faint popping noise, returning to its home plane. If the spell ends before 1 minute has passed because you lose concentration, the target reappears in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. Otherwise, the target doesn't return. So I see why it's called bye-bye. It's making characters go bye-bye. So some fun stuff in here. If you're looking for some melee weapons, you want to mix it up a little bit for $3, you can have it by clicking the link in the video description under Lord Heart's collection and give it a click. Next, we have Lost Legacies of the Dawn War. Magic items that advance and level up with their champions. From Bastion, it's $2.99 for 12 pages. This is one magic item that levels up with you as your character does. Well, you've come to the right place. Lost Legacies of the Dawn War is a compendium of magic items created by the Dawn War Pantheon. Each deity has a magic item that grows in power and potency as its wielder levels up. As well as incredible loot, these offer great story seeds for character arcs and story opportunities for adventurers to enhance the power of these items. So, fun stuff. Looking inside, you can see the full list here. Everything from Asmodeus' Star of Morning all the way down to Zahir's Twin Fangs. And it's also got some background lore. It teaches you all about the relic progression here. And then the Dawn War deities are listed. And yeah, just going into all the different items here. Looks like a lot of fun, different names. You get the Glooming Carapace, the Radiant Evergreen. So yeah, let's zoom in and read a little bit of these things. Maybe we'll start with a little bit about the relic progression. Don't want to read the whole section, but I think it would be good for you to have a little bit of understanding, hopefully, on how that works. It says the Lost Legacies progress with the leveling up of their wielder. This is accomplished through the progression of the 3 stages of each item. Each relic, when first attuned to, reverts to its lowest state, referred to as its inferior state. General guideline for discovering the initial inferior state version of the Lost Legacy is level 5. Discovering a relic any earlier will cause an imbalance, as the Lost Legacies, even in its inferior state, is going to outpace other magic items of most low-level characters. So it sounds like you have the inferior state at level 5, and then it goes to its superior state at around level 10, and then it's got the ultimate pinnacle state at around level 15. So basically 3 different levels, it becomes something else if you're attuned to it. So let's find one of these to read about. Let's see. We got the Tome of Truth here. Ioun's Tome of Truth. It's a wondrous item, rarity varies, and it requires attunement by a spellcaster. This tome, taken from the ancient library of Ioun, the goddess of knowledge, is emblazoned with an eye on the front that is constantly studying its surroundings. The inferior state is, this tome functions as a spellbook and can be used as a spellcasting focus. While holding this tome, you gain a +1 bonus to attack rolls and the saving throw DCs of your spells. Additionally, as an action, you can cast the Detect Magic spell once per day without using a spell slot. While this tome is in your possession, you have advantage on insight checks to tell if someone is being dishonest. And then you get to the superior state. While holding this tome, you gain a +2 bonus to spell attack rolls and the saving throw DCs of your spells. Additionally, you can learn 1 new spell from the class spell list of your choosing. This spell counts as a class spell for you and uses your normal spellcasting ability for the casting of this spell. Once per day, you can use your action to cast the Identify spell and the Augury spell, each without using a spell slot or any material components. Pinnacle. While holding this tome, you can gain a +3 bonus to spell attack rolls and the saving throw DCs of your spells. Additionally, you can learn 1 new spell from the class spell list of your choosing. This spell counts as a class spell for you and uses your normal spellcasting ability for the casting of this spell. Once per day, you can cast the Legend Lore spell without using a spell slot or any material components. So you can see how it changes with, all those different levels after you've attuned. It's pretty easy to understand how that works, and since it just changes 3 times, it's not like it's getting tweaked every level. So that's pretty fun. I like it. Could be really useful for people. They don't have to keep changing their items. So check it out under Lost Legacies of the Dawn War in the links below and give it a click. Next we have People of Zakhara, Ogres. the Land of Fate's largest citizens as player character options and NPCs. So there's a whole, supplement on 𝙬𝙗 that's out there. You can see some of those down here in the campaign guide for 𝙬𝙗 and Adventurer's Guide to 𝙬𝙗, which is Al-Qadim from Forgotten Realms, previous editions. And they've done some really cool supplements detailing those settings so that you can get that feeling back from those older editions, since there hasn't been any 5th edition releases for Al-Qadim. But this is by GM Lint and Brock Sayre. It's $3.95 for 21 pages. It says, while often viewed as savage monsters in other lands, ogres are a valued and respected part of 𝙬𝙗 life. Their strength, great size, and honest nature makes them invaluable additions to society. The supplement provides you everything you need to bring the ogres to life in your campaign. You've got rules for player-to-character ogres and half-ogres, discussions of how ogres' unique nature fits within society, ogre character traits, both well-documented and misunderstood, and 5 fully detailed ogre NPC entries with stat blocks. So that's cool. So you get to see the entirety of the book in the preview, so you can really review and decide if it's going to work for you. You've got ogres, the traits, and half ogres, and then some NPCs for your use. And it has a nice design that very reminiscent of Al-Qadim and 𝙬𝙗. So you've got the ogre section, lots of lore, including a name section with pronunciations. That's really nice. And then you've got all your traits here, and then your half ogre, as well as all their traits. And then you get into the NPCs, so you can see all the different NPCs that can introduce the characters to these races if you want, or just to have as flavor and background, or as needed. Always nice to have NPCs on hand. So looking at the half ogres, they have an ability score increase. It says your strength score increases by 1, your con by 1, and your lineage grants you 1 additional point, which you can apply to ability score of your choice. Half ogres have lifespans similar to those of their non-ogre parent, though their ogre heritage shortens their life expectancy somewhat. Typically, half ogres can expect to reach around 80% of their non-ogre parents' maximum age. Some half ogres tend toward the chaotic leanings of their ogre parents, but have no strong inclinations toward any alignment. And then under size, half ogres are generally larger than their non-ogre parent, but smaller than their ogre parent. Speed, 30 feet. Toughness, you have inherited your ogre parent's resilience toward injuries. Your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 time every time you gain a level. Varied ancestry, since ogres intermingle freely with others. No 2 half ogres are necessarily the same. You gain 1 trait of your choice from your non-ogre parent. Languages, you can speak common and 1 additional language, typically the language of your non-ogre parent. So nice ways to tie it in if you're a half ogre between your ogre parent and your non-ogre parent. Maybe it's an elf, so you pick an elf, Elvish as your language, and then you pick some other trait for the varied ancestry. So nicely tied in, giving you plenty of opportunities there to bring that half side of your character to life, as well as the ogre side. So I like it, and you can look for it in the links in the video description under People of 𝙬𝙗 Ogres and give it a click. Next we have Snake Among Serpents, a slithery adventure for 5th level characters by Vincent Oscar. It's $3 for 58 pages, and it's only going to be $3 until the 10th of March, which is not very far away. So that's 60% off. So the price is going to go up. And 58 pages for $3 is a pretty good deal. It says, which is worse, a snake's venom or a poisoned mind? It's a slithery adventure for 5th level characters. Ravaged by famine, exploited by the warlord's henchmen, and strangled by the mysterious serpent folk, the once peaceful and prospering village of 𝙼𝙬𝙗 is crying out for heroes to turn the tides of misfortune. Why are the crops failing? How do they please the voracious appetite of the greedy garrison? Why are their serpent folk, after a century-long truce, flashing their fangs at the villagers again? Only a band of brave adventurers with quick wits and even quicker blades can bring salvation to this dying community. In this Far Eastern style Dungeons & Dragons adventure, your party will face a complex challenge, maneuvering through the various opposing forces at work behind the heart-wrenching scenes of a starving village. An eerie investigation, tough moral choices, and deadly combat mark the trail of your party. The 58-page adventure comes with several custom encounter maps and stylish original illustrations, and it says average adventure length is 3 to 4 sessions, and it's adjustable for different levels. So, sounds fun. Looking inside, you get to see 8 of those 58 pages. So you can see there's the overview, the plot and the adventure flow, key NPCs, additional NPCs, key locations, and of course your final showdown. And then the stat blocks at the end. So yes, it's got that Far East look to it. So if you think like 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀, you might be able to use that. It says the adventure's atmosphere resembles Oriental fantasy, but it does not have strong ties to any specific setting. If you plan to run the adventure in the Forgotten Realms, consider locating somewhere on the continent of 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙀. Alternatively, you could choose to have in a less populated area of Faerun as well, perhaps in the proximity of Serpent Hills, where independent oligarchs fight over the lands. So, giving you some options. But yeah, I like the look of this layout and style of it. So let's read some of the adventure hooks here. It says there are many options to get your party involved in Dwalm-wise tribulations and several ways to end the story. You're encouraged to tailor the adventure. Lately, rice shipments from Dwalm have become sparse, and the local garrison appears to be incompetent in delivering their dues, suspecting treason or even sabotage. The governor of the province is looking for independent adventurers to investigate the case. So that's one option. Another is serving in the Krakawana army or the warlord's special forces. The characters are ordered to replace the captain of the garrison and restore the steady flow of rice supplies from Dwalm-wai. So various options. And there's a lot more that we just didn't read there, but you can come read them by clicking on the link and checking out Snake Among Serpents. Give it a click. Next, we have Through the Fire and Flames, a smoldering hot adventure optimized for 3rd and 4th level characters by Tarryton U, and it's $4.99 for 21 pages. And if you haven't checked out Indestructiboy's YouTube, you should. I do subscribe and watch it. In fact, the most recent book from Tarryton with the runes was covered on there as it was being created, which was fun to see. So this particular book was designed originally as an adventure jam, and it's the first adventure from Tarryton. It says, after a meteor plummeted into the side of Deadlow Peak in months past, miners from the nearby town of Grodd took to the mountain to try and dig it up to harvest its rare metals. While the meteor still hasn't been uncovered, expeditions into the mountain uncovered another treasure, several massive obsidian deposits. The black glass suddenly became Grodd's main export, increasing the need to dig further into the mountain. A crew of miners set off for the peak a little over a week ago, and only 2 crew members returned, claiming they uncovered a large chamber of magma. The rest of the crew went in to investigate and were beset upon by red lizard men and large worm-like creatures that seemed to swim through the rock like water. After seeing some of the crew attacked and taken as prisoner by these creatures, the survivors blasted the tunnel to the chamber shut and retreated to Grodd to report their stories. Soon after, the earth began to shake, and the seismic activity has the citizens of the region terrified. The Deadlow Peak may have been an inactive volcano all along. The adventurers will be tasked with investigating the dig site and uncovering the truth behind Deadlow Peak's sudden change in behavior. So it sounds fun. Yeah, here's the Rune Keeper. We talked about that last week, I think it was. It might have been a couple weeks ago. I don't know. It all blurs together. This is episode 44. So we've been doing this for 44 weeks, almost a year now. All right, so let's look inside. You get to see 12 pages out of the 21, so a little over half. You've got your preface, your different sections. So it's separated into 3 chapters with an aftermath, and then you've got some magic items and monsters. And yeah, beautiful layout. I love the look at this. And I like how you've got the monster roster listed here with all the different CRs. And then the key players. Major locations, Deadlow Peak. And then a map. And some cool flavor text mixed in with each of the locations. I always appreciate that. So let's see. Let's look at some of the rumors in here. Those are always fun to read. It says, while the player characters are exploring Grodd, they may overhear some bits of information that seems to be on everyone's minds. So the first one is, to the best of everyone's knowledge, Deadlow Peak had always been a normal mountain. Another one is, miners were attempting to find the asteroid that hit the peak a few months ago and also found obsidian. The new products created with obsidian caused a massive boom for the town's economy, and now they're concerned that Grodd could became dependent on it and angered 𝙁𝙤𝙤𝙤 or another appropriate deity of commerce. So some fun rumors, and that's just a few. And now we'll read just one of the little flavor texts. So let's read about the magma cistern here. It says, the heat grows more intense as you near the end of the mining shaft, opening up into an enormous chamber housing a pool of magma below the rocky overhang you currently stand on. As the molten mass below pops and belches, you notice the overhang extends to a smooth bored tunnel in the chamber's north wall. So yeah, we're going to investigate that? Probably. So it's fun. Each of the locations seem to have text like that, which makes it really helpful for the DM to be able to just read that and get moving. So I like it a lot, and I think you should support Taryn and Indestructible by clicking the link for Through the Fire and Flames in the video description links and check it out. Next, we have Untold Subclasses Mage Breeder. Options for odd characters or unexpected NPCs. An alternative artificer specialist by Keith Hiscox. $1.95 for 8 pages. And it says you get a new playable artificer subclass, the Mage Breeder. 5 infusion enhancements for the Mage Breeder. And it says 1 NPC stat block for Stealthy Mage Breeder. And 3 Magebred Beast stat blocks and the necessary rules framework to create more. Notes on integrating Mage Breeders into your world and possible adventure hooks featuring them. So this series from Keith has gone way in depth with each of these subclasses. So Keith is not just giving you a subclass, but also all these things surrounding it to really help the DM bring it into the world. And if you're a player looking at it, you can sell it to your DM and say, look, hey, I know it's you don't always take homebrew stuff or third-party stuff, but in this case, there's all this extra stuff that comes with this subclass that can help you integrate it. So you should look at this one, right? So it gives you some options. It says all artificers make a point of learning from nature, but mage breeders have taken that a stage further, using animal husbandry, selective breeding, vivisection, infusions, and arcane magic to create and train powerful creatures that mimic spell effects. Mage breeders work as closely with nature as druids or rangers, but seek to master and shape rather than protect or survive. Some work subtly, growing and developing alternative animals that look almost natural. Others are brutal, taking surgical and magical shortcuts to create unnatural-looking brutes. Mage breeders' study of animal life often makes them effective emergency battlefield healers, although those healed by them may bear both physical and emotional scars as a result. So yeah, I mean, you can expand your artificer options with this. I think even the NPCs created from this could be really fun. And this is, we've profiled, I think, the other two so far in this Untold Subclasses series, and I'm really enjoying it as a concept. I need to purchase them, but I think it's really cool what we've been able to read just on this show. So you get to see 4 of the 8 pages, so half the book. So here's the information on the Mage Breeder itself. And then you can see some of the spells available, the different abilities. Like the first one is Beast Bond. This is a spell that's reprinted. It's called Beast Bond, but then they've got this Magebred Beast, 3rd level feature. Your experiments have borne you a faithful companion, the Magebred Beast. It is friendly to you and neutral to your allies and is trained to fight alongside you, obeying your commands. Choose a beast that is no larger than large and that has a challenge rating of equal to or lower than CR14. Add half of your proficiency bonus to the beast's AC, attack rolls, and damage rolls, as well as to any saving throw and skill proficiencies it has. Its hit point maximum equals the hit point number in its stat block or 4 times your artificer level, whichever is higher. Like any creature, it can spend hit dice during a short rest to regain hit points. If you feed it 1 hit die of your own blood each morning, taking the relevant HP damage, the Mage-Bred Beast is able to act as a vessel for one of your infusions. You gain +1 to your number of active infusions, but this infusion may only be used on your Mage-Bred Beast. You may infuse the Mage-Bred Beast with one of your known infusions as if it were an appropriate object, and the Mage-Bred Beast itself gains the abilities or bonuses usually conferred by the infusion. You and the DM must agree on whether and how this changes the appearance and form of the Mage-Bred Beast. The beast obeys your commands and, all the usual things with a companion, when it dies and what it does if not given an action, and how you can create a new one at the end of a long rest. So very flavorful, very cool concept. Again, expanding what subclasses can do in terms of all the things that are packed into the book as well. So I think you should look for it under Untold Subclasses Mage Breeder in the links below and give it a click. That's our last DM's Guild title. Before we move on to drive through for this week, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. I will try to respond to all those comments. Follow us on all the social media channels at Splinterverse. We're giving away, a trinket every Tuesday and other fun stuff on Wondrous Wednesdays, where we go into, little D6 tables, etc. for you for free. And we got polls for you on Thursdays, and then this video series on Friday, and then of course our Monday exclusive discounts, and we're going to preview the next one at the end of this episode. But yeah, click all those links in the video description. Take advantage of these great new titles. Make sure you get them out there and use them in your campaign and support these creators, as well as, checking out this big sale that's going on through March 13th. I mean, tons of stuff is on sale, including all of the Splinterverse media books. All 5 of the ones we released in 2021 are on sale. The Feywild Companion, which is now available in print. It's 150 pages of Feywild goodies for players and DMs. And then we've got Fizban's Vaulted Draconic Secrets. It's basically a player alternative to the Fizban's Treasure of Dragons, with tons of player stuff, but also some things for DMs, including adventure hooks for all the player stuff that we tucked inside of that vault. And we've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, all sorts of helpful advice on running Lineages, that new mechanic from Ravenloft, in your campaign, as well as 4 brand new Lineages that work in any setting. And then we've got Secrets of the Drowgar, a brand new race that melds the Drow and the Duergar with deities and fortune-telling goodness, and all kinds of fun stuff in there with beautiful artwork. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is available digital and print on demand, with tons of new potions with short stories for each one that are interconnected and form sort of a cinematic universe. And you get fully fleshed out vendors. And Potions Unlocked is a really good one to get, knowing what we're going to do in 2022, because we are working on several books at the moment to bring to you, and some characters and names and things might reappear. So having read those stories is going to kind of prep you for future things from Splinterverse Media. And all 5 of these are on sale at great prices right now. So if you've been waiting to purchase those and add them to your collection, now is a great time to do it. So check them out through those links in the video description. All of our Splinterverse Media books are there waiting for you. Now on to Drive Through RPG. Our first drive-through title of the week is the amazing 20-in-1 card deck. And it's got basically a set of cards, printed cards. These are actual printed cards. You don't have to print them yourself, that have all kinds of information on each card. It has the standard playing card suit and, jokers and numbers, etc. So you could play cards with it basically. But then it's also got a common single die roll, everything from D3 all the way up to D20. Then it's got common multiple dice roll, averaging die roll, fudge fate rolls, D6 rolls, coin flips, odd or even, yes, no with conditionals, and but, directional and degrees, and a clue who, what, when, where, why. So it's just all packed onto these cards. And We don't often feature cards on this channel because there just aren't a lot that come out that are related. But I thought this one was exciting because it really gives you some options, and you can just carry this pack of cards in your pocket. Maybe you can't take all your dice with you, so this could be an option. It's printed on the premium US poker cards for $19.95, but you have two options. So really consider, do you want it to have a deck box that comes with it? If you don't have a plan for where you're going to put this, you might want to add to cart with the deck box, or if you do have a box you want to use, you can just click add to cart, but do think about that before you click the button, because that is a little bit of a different purchase than normal. 61 cards it looks like are involved in this, or pages, but probably one of those is maybe instructions or something, I don't know, or maybe it's just 61 cards and one card is an instruction card. So yeah, you've got 20 functions. So you can see here in the image that, like, on the D3 you rolled a 3 if you drew this card. On the D4 you rolled a 4. This is a Queen of Hearts if you need, if you're playing cards. D6, this is kind of the various options that it could be: D8, D10, D12, D20, and then an average. If you're flipping a coin, you got an even. If you're dealing with degrees, it's 330 degrees. If you're dealing with like a question to ask, like how would be the question you would ask here, or clue, how did this happen? And then if you want these sort of yes, no with conditionals, it would be yes and. So this is really helpful for many different role-playing games, not just Dungeons and Dragons, because some of these ones that you're like, what are those even for? It's probably for these other games like the Fudge Fate rolls, etc. But I love that they've packed it all onto a single playing card, and that you can also use it to play cards. I mean, that's helpful too. So definitely like this. I would love to have one for myself. So if you want something that's going to give you something other than rolling, maybe you're tired of rolling dice, or you want to have something that you can just use for some of these alternative things like coin flips or conditionals, or maybe you want to just use the cards for NPC rolls or some other thing. And keep in mind, that this is available for you to keep the die rolls quiet, right? So you can do this without making any sound. You can be flipping these cards behind your DM screen and nobody would know. So I think it's a really good option if you need to keep some die rolls secret. You can just flip these cards behind the screen. So lots of options. Check it out in the video description links under Amazing 20-in-1 Card Deck and give it a click. Next we have Architects of the Deep, Kingdom of Death. It is on sale right now for $12.99. It looks like it's hard to tell with the cross out there, but I think it's normally $19.99. It's 137 pages. It's for 5th edition. And it says a campaign designed using 5th edition system rules. What happens when we die? Well, your players can find out in this new campaign, which will begin with them dying and take them on a long journey through the Kingdom of Death. Based on a mixture of mythologies, including ancient Greek myths, Dante's Inferno, and Milton's Paradise Lost, this campaign will take your players through the bowels of hell itself and have them emerged on the other side. Will your players be able to fight their way back to the world of the living, or will they remain in the underworld for all eternity? So what's the catch? Well, of course, in order to start this campaign, you'll have to kill all your players. Sounds like fun, right? And it has map files that you can use. So I like this concept of, journeying through the bowels of the underworld and playing with life and death and these classic pieces of literature. So it's exciting. Here you can see 7 of those 137 pages. You've got your whole adventure, including bonus levels. There's quite a lot of levels to it. I mean, it goes all the way to level 11 in terms of sections of the adventure, and then you've got character appendices, monsters, lots of monsters, including Anubis and a tortured soul, if I'm giving you the names of the last and the first. You got a section on the deadly sins, as well as some items. So it just looks very thematic. and how to begin, how you kill off your characters, I guess, and then here's the beginning of the adventure. So let's read a little bit about this killing off of the characters. Before we get into the actual campaign, we have to go over some special rules in the Kingdom of Death. These are to bring a new dynamic to our gameplay. And it's got a section on healing. It also says up here you can you need to first kill all your players. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? You can start with this with established characters, which is what this campaign was written for, but it could be used for brand new characters as well. Just begin with a blank slate. The brand new characters wash up on the shores of a river Styx with no memory of who they are or how they got there. Just make sure they're at least level 5. But yeah, so you can kill them any way you want. You know, have them lose a battle or something in your current campaign and then switch to this. It says the players' bodies are still in the physical world. The players are now playing with manifestations of their spirits. Therefore, any spells that would restore or increase HP have no effect. Status effects, however, will still have the ability to be healed. These same rules apply to potions as well. No potion that would recover HP will work. Also, resting will not restore HP. Both long and short rests will only recover half of the spell slots it usually would. The only way to heal HP is through pomegranate seeds, which can be obtained in a few places in the dungeon. The idea is to make it very hard for the characters to heal themselves and to make it so that they will eventually die again within the campaign. This adds a challenge for the players who usually go headlong into danger. Adding a penalty for dying as well will help make them more cautious. So then, because the players are already dead, they can't truly die again. So if they find themselves in a situation where their HP drops below 0, they would otherwise die. They will instead suffer an ill effect. When the player dies, quote unquote, during this campaign, they will dissolve from existence and reappear a minute later fully healed in the same spot where they died. When they reappear, roll a d20 and the player will suffer the effect on the chart below. So you've got madness, loss of use of one arm, blinded, lose a skill, all kinds of stuff on that table. So really fun options here. I think it's a cool hook and setup for this whole campaign, and it'll be cool to see where it goes when you read through the whole thing. So check it out under Architects of the Deep Kingdom of Death in the links below and give it a click. Next, we got the Book of Extinction Preview from Mage Hand Press with this gorgeous cover. I really, really love the artwork here. And it's a suggested price of $3 on Pay What You Want for 12 pages, 5th edition. And it's really a preview. They have a Kickstarter coming. But what's exciting about this is the concept that I wanted to share with you. I don't normally cover Kickstarter previews, rarely. But what's exciting about this one is all the proceeds from the preview support endangered species protection through the Center of Biological Diversity, a national nonprofit conservation organization dedicated to the protection of endangered species in wild places. And they have a link to it as well. But not only that, what excites me about that is this book is focused on bringing extinct species back to life, and that's what the Kickstarter is going to be about. It's going to be a monster manual of animals rendered extinct by humankind with real-world history alongside lore and game statistics for the 5th edition. And in this preview, you get to bring 3 of those back to life. You've got the ghost tiger of Tasmania, the thylacine, the feathered tide that made America, the passenger pigeon, and the ocean master of an exploding island, the great 𝙁. There's going to be a lot of them in the full book in the Kickstarter. So this is cool that you get to see some of them here. So looking at this preview, which is, again, pay what you want, but I encourage you always to pay something, and in this case especially because it's going to go to charity. So you've got this bestiary of extinct species here that they talk about, like, the reasoning behind it, and why they chose this for storytelling. And then you go right into some of these creatures. You've got the history of how it became extinct, and then, of course, the little stat block for the creature. And each one is illustrated. So you have some images to show the players, if you want, of these creatures that they may not even know about because they become extinct in our world, right? So let's read a little bit about the ocean masters. Great 𝙁s are unparalleled ocean predators who symbolize the bounty and grace of the sea itself. Though they prefer to be left alone, they can be fierce foes when cornered. They spend nearly their entire lives at sea, even sleeping on the waves. They are unparalleled swimmers who outrace even the fastest fish. When this ability fails them, they bend the ocean itself to their will. Great Auks are most vulnerable on land, where they can move no faster than an awkward wobble. With their innate magical control over weather and terrain, Great Auks take the most hard-to-reach places in the ocean and make them completely inaccessible. Great Auk nesting grounds are constantly surrounded by fog, strong waves, sleet, and sheer rock faces. Since Auks have no interest in gold, magical items or other treasured, valuable items that end up on these nesting sites tend to stay there. They often become offshore havens for the wealthy. And then you've got the stats for the Ocean Master. And so it's got some spellcasting. It can cast Fog, Cloud, Ray of Frost, Spike Growth, Call Lightning, and Control Water, Ice Storm, and Wall of Stone. So very cool. And then it's got a traditional beak attack as well. And it's the Celestial, which is fun. So really cool stat blocks. You can get 3 of them in here. Support some endangered species. Learn about some endangered species with some of the text. And just really have fun educating your players on these extinct animals, reminding them that extinction is a challenge that we face in our world today. And Mage Hand Press puts out some good stuff. I've enjoyed some of their past releases, so I think you're going to want to click on this one and check it out. It's under Book of Extinction in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got the Calendar of 𝙬𝙤 from 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙚, and it is pay what you want. Suggested price of $2 for 12 pages. It says, what do the stars hold for your adventuring party? The next entry in our free City of 𝙁𝙗𝙪 line explores the world of 𝙬 into the very cosmos themselves. The calendar of and zodiac of 𝙬 features the almanac and astrological charts that have been employed since ancient times by civilized people of the megacontinent of 𝙬. Included is a list of month names, as well as constellations, zodiac signs, and a complete list of major holidays and festivals celebrated since the fall of the Giant Kings. So you get a star chart, key to the months, all kinds of stuff. So this is, we've profiled one other title, I think last week, for this series for the Free City of 𝙁𝙗𝙪, and it's looking pretty good and interesting. So it's exciting to see that it's continuing already. So here you've got the zodiac, the history, the calendar, the months, and the festivals going on in this campaign setting. And then you've got some background on the campaign itself. And so month Baal, sign the crocodile, the festival of 𝙤𝙤, start of the yearly calendar, 100 days before spring. And then it goes into the Zuluian calendar in detail, as well as the festivals. We'll read about the Baal one in a second. But yeah, look at the cool artwork in here. Nice layout. Really fun. I love that they're going into detail of so many parts of their campaign, so that when you pick this up and you start getting involved in this campaign, you're going to have such rich amounts of content. Because last week it was a whole book on just one NPC, right? And this is a whole book just on the calendar. So you put all these together, you're going to have such resources to really invest in this setting, which is fun. So the Festival of 𝙤𝙤, the start of the yearly calendar, 100 days before spring. 𝙤𝙤 celebrates the start of 100 days and nights until the beginning of spring, a midwinter festival. It is celebrated with grandeur and pomp, with spectacular uses of fire and pyrotechnics, symbolizing the defeat of the forces of darkness, the frost, and the cold. Wood is gathered the day before the festival, usually by teenagers accompanied by a few adults. This is often the first time they are away from their families. Fires are set to ritually assist the revival of the sun, Baal, to bring back the warmth and light of summer, and to drive off demons of frost and cold, which turn water to ice and kill the roots of plants. And that's just one. There's a bunch of festivals. So you can take these festivals, put them in your own campaign. They don't have to be part of 𝙬𝙤. Or you can start getting these books at the pay what you want prices and just start preparing to build this whole setting. So it's just a complete setting. They've even got some information on it for Shard Tabletop. They've got a Patreon to support it. So they're really, 𝙬𝙤𝙬𝙧 is really getting into this in depth so that you can have a really detailed setting. So check it out under Calendar of 𝙬𝙤 in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Crucible Magazine, issue 0. And this is another one that's going to be a Kickstarter. I think it's live right now, actually, and it's really cool because it is like an old school Dungeons and Dragons magazine, 5th edition, and it's got interviews, it's got content, and I downloaded this because it's free, it's $0, and I was just astonished by how much content is in the free issue. Like, it is 92 pages for free. That's 92 pages for free. You don't see that very often. And the content and the art and the layout is all just stunning. I think that this series is going to be really successful. I hope the Kickstarter is doing well so that they can release issues. Hopefully the issues will all be on drive-through so we can talk about some of the future ones, because they're definitely worth talking about. You get a lot of stuff in each issue that you can use for your campaigns and your tables. And even if you're a player, there's stuff for you, including interviews to read. So it's from the DM Tool Chest. Suggested price is $0. You can pay something. It's a lot of value, so it's worth it. 92 pages, and it's basically going to be a monthly full color magazine if it gets funded on Kickstarter, and it's looking good for it. And it says taking our cues from the magazines of the past but putting in our own modern twists. Each issue will contain over 80 pages, jam-packed with unique game-ready content for the whole table. Are you a DM lacking time to prepare each session and want fully fleshed out adventures ready to run? Wish you had more marvelous magic item and monsters? Are your players looking for new class options? Then it has all of that and more. And you can see each issue includes 4 complete adventures, custom maps, handouts, NPC artwork, new monsters and magic item, player options such as subclasses, backgrounds, and feats, and a comic book. So just so much stuff. And when I was looking at this one, the magic item artwork is just phenomenal. You can see a little bit of it here. It is just top notch, as good as it gets. And then you've got this you get the Foundry VTT stuff. I mean, and there's a whole video you can watch down here as well. I cannot say enough good things about this. I was just blown away by what I looked at when I downloaded it. So, you've got to get a hold of it. But you can see they've got adventures, full adventures in this free one. You've got subclasses, backgrounds, and comic books. Even this free preview is showing you the whole book, and you can see here's one of the adventures. It's what's this one called? Sea Giant's Cove, and it's got a cover page basically, and then all the detail and summary, hooks, all this stuff. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see a little better. I mean, the maps are just stunning. Keyed locations with all the information, stat blocks, and you can see the layout is really beautiful. It does remind you of like old Dragon magazines or Dungeon magazines or any of those kind of cool magazines. As you're going through it here, I want to read one of the magic items because I just, like I said, their artwork is just beyond good, and I love all the maps. I mean, look at this. That's so cool. Yeah, you got to grab this, and I mean, the recommended price is $0, so there's no problem grabbing it for $0. You can always go back and pay something later, but you can see here they got the new backgrounds in Wild Beyond the Witchlight style, and then here we are in the magic items, and I mean, this is the Harp of Thorns. Look at that. It's just stunning. And these acidic slug in a jar. Yeah, whoever their magic item artist is, I would love to work with them on one of my books because they're just so good. Yeah, you got this peacock hair comb. I mean, can't say enough. Okay, so let's read the Harp of Thorns. So it's a wondrous item common. It is said that great music is born from great pain. The frame of the small wooden lap harp is carved with beautiful enameled roses, and the delicate silver strings are twisted to resemble stems with red-tipped Thorns. You must be proficient in stringed instruments to use this harp. When you play this harp as part of a performance check, you take 1d4 plus 1 piercing damage and add the result to your roll. But yeah, I mean, look at that. Just the deadly strings on this. I mean, just so beautiful and unique. And then there's a whole interview with Luke Gygax in here. And it's not just one page, it's quite a few pages of it. And then there's, basically letters to the editor section, comic books. It really is everything that we used to love and miss about, magazines related to Dungeons and Dragons. So I think you have to grab it. It's under Crucible in the links below. Give it a click and check it out. Next we have Extreme Encounters, Weather and Terrain, Fire from MageGate Games, $3.99, 24 pages. We've covered most of the titles in the series. They're doing one for all the different things. They've got cold, air, acid, and we've covered some of those before, but it's basically quick, easy templates to spice up encounters, travel, boss fights, just to make the area more interesting. This one contains something called Hot as Hell magical terrain, which we're going to look at in a second, and then all kinds of other non-magical terrain as well, like wildfire, volcanic eruptions, lava tubes, and how to kind of represent those in the game. So looking inside, you get to see 8 of the pages, and they give you the complete Hot as Hell to look at. It says this is an area permeated by supernatural scorching heat. It may be the work of a god of fire, the forge, or the sun, or the byproduct of congregation of fire creatures such as devils, Ifriti, fire giants, or salamanders, or it could be the result of an altar, artifact, idol, or relic. So many options to bring this kind of regional effect into play, or hazard, if you will. It tells you the area, expanding it, what perception effects there are, disable or dispel magic effects, the difficult terrain. So fire damage, the terrain deals 1 point of fire damage to all non-fire creatures for every 1 minute they remain inside. For every 10 minutes, they must make a DC 15 con saving throw or suffer 1 level of exhaustion and take fire damage from smoke inhalation. Creatures with resistance to fire damage are immune to these effects. Creatures who do not need to breathe do not take the extra fire damage or exhaustion. Doubling of the light. All non-magical fire, torches, etc. have their bright and dim light doubled and burn twice as fast. So just all kinds of various effects, and it goes into a boss fight information, the terrain anchor. If an altar, artifact, or idol or relic is causing the terrain, it has an AC 10 and 120 hit points. It is immune to fire, necrotic, poison, and psychic damage. Has resistance to all other types. Deals 44 damage per round or to any non-fire creature touching it, etc. It just is really positioning you to bring fiery conditions, regional effects or hazardous terrain, however you want to use it. This is really flexible and giving you all those options, and it's part of a series. So if you get them all, you're going to have fire, cold, air, acid, you name it, all those things at your fingertips to be able to just really infuse areas of your game with this thematic weather, terrain, etc. So check it out under Extreme Encounters in the links below and give it a click. Next we have the Fire Dungeon. Speaking of fire, and so this could be a location that could use that previous book to really have that feel. But this is from the Map Alchemists, and it includes print and VTT maps with individual rooms and an art pack, so you get all these little assets as well that you can place on top of the maps. Tons of details, and not only are you getting the map itself, but all the pieces, so you can kind of stitch it together and make your own variation. And the artist spent over 100 hours on it. You get a 72 DPI and a 300 DPI and 81 different items. There's grid, no grid, and then the rooms alone, so you can make them your own. And just look at how cool it is. It's got so many things going on, very fiery. All the different individual rooms. So if you just want to use those or build your own thing, you've got this bridge over some molten lava, it looks like. throne, and then all these different pieces that even with other maps, they don't even have to be for this map, that you can throw on top of them. Really love it. I think it's great. If I was a DM, I would definitely consider getting this one to run some games for my players, because I just think it's so gorgeous, and you definitely can find uses for it. Avernus, any kind of big bad that is fiery, or like I said, the previous book we looked at, you want to create a fiery environment. You have fire elementals. I mean, you name it. There's so many places fire can get involved. So I think you should check it out under Fire Dungeon in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Labyrinth at Tarryton U, and it's by Night Owl Odysseys. It says, deep beneath the halls of Tarryton University are a network of secret corridors and halls of experiments long since shuttered and passed. But when a group of over-eager students uncover a long-forgotten labyrinth inhabited by minotaurs, bent on bringing the hells to the mortal realm, only the bravest of adventurers can hope to stop it. Will you answer the call? And you can see, as usual, with the Night Owl Odyssey, that there's these beautiful maps, cards, tokens, and nice layout of the adventure itself. And it's 5th edition for 4 to 6 characters of 4th to 7th level, optimized for average party level of 6. And I mean, just look at these. That's so cool. This little kind of school area, and then you've got the Minotaur's maze or labyrinth. There's 5 new monsters, 2 custom battle maps, 3 magic items, and 2 musical tracks, and there's a little video even here that you can watch on it. But I love all that. I think it's exciting. They keep putting out some really cool stuff and I love that you get like everything, the music, the maps, the tokens, the adventure. It's just all packaged together so that you don't have to, a lot of things you have to go buy maps or make maps or go get the tokens. And I mean, these things coming out from Night Owl Odysseys at really reasonable prices. I mean, $4 here for all this stuff is giving you the music even. So I really think you should check it out under Labyrinth at Tarryton U in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Lesser Magic from Goblin Society Games, $4.95 for, I'm not sure how many pages, it doesn't say, but it's 5th edition. And it says it's a collection of cantrip spells. So there's 24 cantrips for the core cantrip casting classes, each with their own hand-drawn arcane glyph. Class-specific table of contents and a tag system for ease of reference, an average of 10 new cantrips for each class, more cantrips calling for uncommon saving throws, an emphasis on less common damage types, and at least 2 cantrips per school of magic. So, and then you can get this as part of a bundle, so keep that in mind. But I think it's fun that they're giving us more cantrips, so you can always use more of those, and it's cool that they have the little glyphs that go with them. So in the preview, you get to see 2 of the cantrips, so we'll just read those. This is the Acrid Mist. It's range of 30 feet, and it's a duration of 1 round. You conjure an acidic mist at a point you can see within range until the spell ends. The mist fills a 5-foot cube, making it lightly obscured. Any creature in the mist space, when you cast the spell, must succeed on a dex saving throw or take acid damage. A creature must also make a save when it moves into the mist space for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there. The mist dissipates at the start of your next turn, and then it upcasts to other damage levels as you level. And then it's for Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. And then for Condemn, it's an Abjuration cantrip, 60 feet, 1 round, Cleric, Druid, Warlock. Pointing a finger, you warn a creature you can see of retribution. If the creature deals damage to you with an attack or harmful effect on its next turn, it must make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes radiant damage equal to half the damage it dealt to you to a maximum of 10, and then it upcasts as well. So fun, and you can see like this is the symbol for Condemn, and then they've got a symbol for Acrid Mist. So I like that. Fun, playful, cool stuff. And it's all under Lesser Magic in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Names Games March 2020 collection. So Names Games, Samurai Sheepdog, There's a Patreon involved, and they're sort of bringing together stuff that was given to the Patreons in collected editions. This is for Pathfinder First Edition, author Kevin Glusing. And it says the Daira fairy rabbit folk from Mystical Kingdom of Monsters now have a full ancestry write-up. And then they've done like a version on the World of Warcraft's mage class with the Volrun Mage, and then it says you could be like Iron Man. Shattered Worlds tech armor can turn any character into an armored hero. New feats and archetypes for the content above, as well as a few new archetypes previewing the work of fellow designer Beth Jones. And then this is basically Patreon content that gets combined together. And they even have bundles where you can get past collections all together. So $10 for this, 27 pages. And you get to see 3 of those pages as you look through. So you get to see about the Volrun Mage. We'll read the lore of that. And then the monster Indira. It says, for years, the researchers of the kingdom have studied lagomorphs, their growth patterns, and the regions they call home. The curious nature of lagomorphs and how they can grow into so many different forms has always fascinated breeders and researchers alike. The fairy monsters known as Dira are fey-like creatures discovered by their namesake when she and her family were visiting the edge of the elven lands on her world. The Dira lived around one of the world's recently revealed hinges, drawing nourishment and power from it in order to grow stronger over time. Dira, who became Monstoran, retain their fey qualities while losing some of their gifts until they can learn again to control their new form and power. So, cute little creature. I won't read all the effects. You can come here and read that. And then Volrun Mage. Volrun Mages are a different breed of spellcaster. While their magic comes from the same general source as other arcane magic users, their focus on individual specializations gives them a greater sense of power in some aspects, while restricting their variety in combat situations. Several different wizard groups exist throughout Volrun, each with its own preference toward one piece of the puzzle that is arcane magic. Volrun's mage's specialization plays a part in how he handles himself in and out of combat. Where fire mages are more upfront and chaotic, frost mages prefer to keep their enemies busy. Arcane mages put a lot of time into regenerating their magic, while blood mages can last longer than all but spellbreakers when it comes to dealing with a threat head on. So, as described earlier, that's like inspired by the World of Warcraft mage and the 3 different sort of types that it exhibits. So fun if you like that. Can be in here. I play WoW sometimes, rarely now because I'm too busy making books and videos, but it's cool to see that as well. So awesome collection once again from Samurai Sheepdog. You can check it out under Names Games in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Orignac's Guide to Dragons from Chamomile Has Adventures, $4.99 for 50 pages, 5th edition. Bring the dragons down with new rules for aerial combat that make use entirely of ordinary strength saves, athletic checks, and attack rolls. No new fight modifiers or vector bonuses or anything else to remember, but which still prevent the fight from bogging down into bizarre hovering melee. Once the battle is won, dive into the many uses in magic item crafting for dragon parts, from turning dragon teeth into +1 arrows to consuming dragon's blood to supercharge the next spell you cast. Challenge the ultimate enemy with new elite moves for all 5 chromatic dragons at each of young, adult, and ancient stages for a total of 15 new movesets, turning dragon fights into a cinematic and tactically intense battles that they should be. Each set of elite moves comes with 4 special abilities. And then, of course, there are new rules for playing as a dragon or half-dragon. So definitely fun times for people that want to play as those. So just so much dragon goodness in here. Goes well, I'm sure, with Fizban's Treasure of Dragons and even our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets. So love seeing more dragon stuff to tie in. And you've got the playable dragons, the thematic sorcerers, the subclasses, using the different parts, and then of course all the different ways to make the bosses more unique, or the battles more unique instead of just the same old. So here it starts in this 4-page sample of the 50. You can see kind of some of the playable dragon options. says playable dragons and half dragons are a transformation. Like other transformations in the series, each tier of the transformation has a level prerequisite and it requires sacrificing a magic item, except for tier 0, which covers any prerequisites to tier 1. The new do not require a magic item attunement. These usually include requirements that must be taken at character creation, though not always. In the case of playable half dragons, the tier 0 requirement is to be dragonborn, a draconic sorcerer, or other draconic class. So yeah, you can use some of the ones from our book, or some other ancestral tied to dragons at the GM's discretion. For playable dragons, you must have the dragon race given below for the tier 0 requirement. Although strictly speaking, it doesn't have to be taken at character creation. So yeah, and then you get into, their age, size, they have draconic breath, resistance, draconic scales, all that stuff. And then here's tier 1, transformation information. So like this, I like the notion of transformations that Chamomile Has Adventures has been exploring. I think it works really well to give you some options to mix things up. So if you're looking for more draconic fun to add to your other draconic books, or just to even get the party started dragon style, I think this is going to be a really good option for you. And just tons of stuff in these 50 pages based on what I've read so far. So check it out under Orenyath's Guide to Dragons in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Secrets of the Drow Trilogy from Midnight Tower. And it is already, in its first week, a Best Electrum seller, so it's sold already 250 copies. It's only $9.90 to get that PDF, but you can go get a premium color hardcover for $49.90, a standard color for $39.90, or combos where you get the PDF and the digital. I'm going to hopefully one of these days get this as a hardcover, but not today. But I'm going to add it to my wish list. It's 170 pages, and it's exciting because it's got 3 dangerous dark elf adventures for the 5th edition, and it's designed for characters of levels 4 to 6, but it's suitable to be scaled from 1 to 20. And it's got 170 pages of content, 3 exciting adventures, new monsters like the Fellstalker, Drow Enchanter, and others, unique magical items such as the Ring of the Explorer and the ceremonial robe of the Drow, detailed and illustrated NPCs, legends and lore, high-quality maps and magical items, plot hooks, and more. And there's even a little video on the Kickstarter that was created for this. So just so much to offer here. I definitely, like I said, I'm going to add it to my wish list because I want to pick it up at some point. For sure. So let's look inside. Look at this beautiful map. And they've got the whole section, Troubles in Winterhold, which is probably one of the first adventure in the Secrets of the Drow Trilogy. You got your contents, overview. So you're going to see 9 pages, and it's got the flowchart of the adventure and before the adventure begins, somebody that you meet. So I'll just read the first paragraph of the synopsis so I can read a little something from the interior for you. But you should check it out and read some more and really consider it, because, I mean, a trilogy of adventures is nice to have. And then, there's also some maps and VTT tokens that you can grab to support your work with this. It looks like here. It says the characters have traveled to Winterhold, a town located high in the mountains, together with the dwarven archaeologist Bjorn Amberklin. In Winterhold, the characters join a meeting with the 5, the leaders of the town. One of the members, Oswald Tuax, who is the captain of the guard, asks the characters to help Winterhold. The town is under threat by dark elves who have increased their nightly raiding and kidnapping. The characters can choose between 3 different quests. They can ambush a band of Drow on their way back from a raid, track the Drow to the hideaway where they store stolen goods, or slay a Drider that terrorizes a nearby hamlet. When the characters have decided which quest they want to accept, they leave Winterhold to travel through the mountains. On their journey, they experience a random atmospheric encounter and are attacked by a Fellstalker. Once the characters have completed their quest and return to Winterhold, they are rewarded, and the leaders of the Winterhold congratulate them. So, yeah, it's just the start of getting involved with the Drow. The Drow is, a favored race, creature, whatever you want to call it. Of many players and DMs, so it's exciting to see a whole trilogy dealing with them. and the options. So yeah, I'm gonna come back and add this to my wish list, and I hope you click and check it out and consider a purchase. And it's under Secrets of the Drow Trilogy in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we got the Shattered Staff of Elemental Mastery from Catalyst RPG. It's for 5th edition. Theodore Kukuvitis and Christina Critical. It's only 95 cents right now. Normally $1.95. It's 9 pages. And it says collect fragments of elemental magic and restore an artifact of mythical power in this unique 5th edition item and lore book. So you get to uncover the secrets of it, seek out the fragments, and discover amazing adventure hooks. And you've got unusual allies, etc. to help you. It says, crafted by an ancient Planestrider mage who forged alliances with primordial elemental lords, the staff was once among the most powerful artifacts in the world. Yet mortal greed and divine envy saw the staff used against the very elemental lords who worked together to create it. Offended, the lords shattered the staff, fragmenting its power and scattering the pieces across space and time. Now the elemental lords have long since gone, and mortal kind has forgotten the true power of this shattered artifact. Yet, if its fragments were to be brought together once more, its true power might once again awaken. So very cool. You can see, as always, Catalyst has some fun artwork. And these are just a few of the pages here that you get to see, but let's look inside. You get to see 4 of them out of the 9, and that includes parts of the information on the staff of Elemental Mastery, and then the various fragments. And so we'll read a little bit about the staff and then one of the fragments. So it's the staff of Elementary has been shattered into 5 parts. Individually, each item holds some of the artifact's original power. Each elemental fragment that is reunited with the staff becomes awakened, enhancing the staff's power and unlocking new abilities. So it's fun. It's got rare 0 fragments, very rare 1 to 3 fragments, and requires attunement, etc. At first glance, it looks like a broken relic, but arcane spellcasters can still use its remaining magic. The staff has 10 charges. While holding it, you can use an action or a reaction to expend 1 or more of its charges to cast one of the following spells. And then it lists these different spells, including absorb elements, color spray, levitate, etc. And then it has the sockets for the fragments. And it says each awakened fragment grants the Shattered Staff the following benefits. The staff's bonus to attack and damage rolls, as well as the bonus to armor class, saving throws, and spell attack rolls, increases to +2 unless it's +2 already from another awakened fragment. The staff gains 10 additional charges for every awakened elemental fragment, and extra spells are added to its spell list. The staff regains an additional expended charges daily at dawn. And then when you roll a d20 after having expended the last charge and get a 20 on the roll, the staff regains an additional amount of charges. And so we'll just read the air fragment here. While attuned to this fragment, you have resistance to lightning damage, and you can hold your breath indefinitely while you're not incapacitated. Additionally, you can speak, read, and write Orin, and you can cast the minor gust cantrip at will. Attuning to the air fragment, while also attuned to the Shattered Staff, awakens the fragment, and it magically merges with the staff, becoming one item that takes up a single attunement slot. After the air fragment has been awakened, the following spells are added. So you get Fly, Gust of Wind, Gaseous Form, Wind Control, and Wind Wall. So I really like this concept of a staff that is missing pieces, and then you start merging things to it, and it becomes something more. And that it can be almost customized, to the character. So really fun concept, and well written, and beautiful artwork. So check it out under Shattered Staff of Elemental Mastery in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Spheres of Origin for Pathfinder 1st Edition from Drop Dead Studios. It's $4.99 for 51 pages. Already a best silver seller. It says an infinite variety of adventurers wander this world, shaped by circumstances mundane and magical, into unique individuals with distinct abilities and approaches. Spheres of Origin allows players and GMs alike to customize their characters and backstories to their liking, offering the tools to design unique origin traditions that emphasize distinct experiences and unique advantages. Making up these origin traditions are talents from 3 all-new origin spheres, more than 150 unique abilities, which can be used to shape a character's aptitude, essence, and form to whatever shape best suits their concept. Building on the system of origin traditions and talents are a variety of other options for players to develop as they see fit. So they've got feats, talents, all kinds of stuff going on in here. But spheres of power, spheres of magic, all these previous spheres titles that have come out have really helped provide new options to people playing Pathfinder. So, and I think they have 5th edition versions as well. So, even in some cases 5th edition players. But it's, we've talked repeatedly about the challenges with races and ancestries and all these things. And so a lot of third-party creators have come up with ways to remedy that. And so it's nice to see someone doing it with Pathfinder as well. So you've got the contents, you've got your aptitude sphere, your essence sphere, your form sphere. So presumably you'd have one of each of these, I would guess. And then you've got archetypes, etc. So yeah, they've got spheres of power, spheres of might are the other ones. I said spheres of magic, but it's spheres of might is the other one. Spheres of power is magic, is the magic one, I think. Anyway, you got your origin talents and traditions, bonuses, creating an origin tradition. So that's good that it's helping you come up with ways to create them. And then there's sample origin traditions as well. So let's look at one of the sample ones. So classic dragon, you are a powerful being of scale, claw, inside of magic. Your generation tradition is hidden domain citizen. Your small or medium, dragon or magical beast, 40 feet, describes your limbs. And then your talents are extra legs, auxiliary talents, essence, energy, renewal, fire. Your form, dark vision, developed tolerance, paralysis and sleep effects, glider and natural attack. And then you've got these utility talents, variations, all based on the different spheres that are in here that you can pick, and you basically assemble your own what we would call in the player's handbook a race, right? So very nice to have those options to mix it up, and I like that the Sphere series is continuing from Drop Dead Studios because it has contributed so much. And so now it's continuing into the Origin space. So check it out under Spheres of Origin in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the Troubled Veil from ZCRPG. It's a one-shot and location, and it's $9.99, and it works with pretty much system neutral because it's a location with a one-shot attached to it, and it's can work with 5th edition, it says, as well. But over here it says system agnostic. So, but I think that's because it's a location. Locations kind of by nature are system agnostic. But anyway, you're going to get 23 pages, a location and lore, 4 detailed encounters, 3 new stat blocks, 1 new magic item, battle maps with approximately 40 versions, night, rain, etc. So lots of stuff to check out in here. Let's take a look. You've got these various places, sub places within the location. So you've got your overview. You get to see the whole book, so you can really deep dive into it before you purchase. And this is going into the location, the overarching plot of the one shot, and then you've got your 5th edition stat block. So if you do want to use it for other settings, you might have to convert, but that's okay. Again, this location is easily transferable to another place, and there's only 1 stat block it looks like so far that you're going to have to convert. And you got your background, your maps, and yeah, of course the maps are going to work for everywhere. Here's another stat block, but again, keeping it small for conversion. Love all the art in here. And you can get even more content if you get involved in the Patreon for CZRBG. They have really cool stuff that they do on a regular basis. And, they have their Amazing Encounters book and other fun stuff you should check out as well. So let's see. Let's read a little bit about this Troubled Veil. It says, once a bastion of civilization, this valley now bears only remnants of greatness long forgotten. Millennia ago, this verdant vale was home to the great builders, a human society renowned for their masterful architecture and staunch preservation of nature. The builders made their home among the verdant peaks, a mountainous, heavily forested landscape ripe with beautiful food and construction resources. For centuries, the builders thrived, constructing a great civilization hidden away among the verdant peaks, attempting to keep their lands away from the covetous eyes of other nations and preparing to defend themselves should outside threats arise. Among the spikes, a name given by the builders to the surrounding forested peaks, great caverns have been repurposed into housings for awe-inspiring artillery, always ready to defend the builder's land. So yeah, it gives you quite a bit of flavor about the history of the area, and then you get into the plot and all the different creatures and things you're going to encounter, and a map to support you on the region, as well as some battle maps. So quite a lot in this package, so I think you should check it out under Troubled Vale in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Village of 𝘼𝙻, setting guide for 5th edition by Gabriello Despent, and it is for 5th edition, $3.99 on sale, and it is 16 pages. I present to you the Village of 𝘼𝙻, it says. The setting guide includes 7 monsters to encounter in the forest surrounding 𝘼𝙻, a faction and a religion that the village is built on, D6 tables for role-playing or prepping inspiration, 9 fleshed-out NPCs with meshing stories, 4 shops that offer various goods and services, labeled and unlabeled versions of the village map, and it's, can be easily adapted to other places because it too is focused on a location like our last title. But you've got you can see here a map, this whole gang with all their stat blocks and some mythical creatures, and yeah, very fun. Let's take a look inside. So you get to see 4 of those 16 pages. Here's your table of contents, and here's the map and background of the area, as well as that gang. So maybe we'll read a little bit about the gang. The Forest of 𝘼𝙻 is a perfect hiding spot for hardened criminals. Such individuals have banded together and named the group the Blackheart Gang, derived from the black-hearted swallows that nest in the trees of 𝘼𝙻. The gang raids helpless people traveling through the forest. The gang has grown in number due to conflict in nearby settlements. Reports have even stipulated that the total number of its members is around 50. The location of the gang's hideout is unknown. The bandits patrol in squads with 11 members. So very fun. You get the loot table and all their little stat blocks. So yeah, if you're looking for a forest adventure or just some gang stat blocks or occult factions, all kinds of stuff in here for an on-sale price of $3.99, check it out under Village of 𝘼𝙻 in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Wayfarer's Deck, Depths of the Earth, 50 illustrated encounters, findings, puzzles, and wonders, and writing prompts for adventurers venturing deep into caves, mines, and dungeons. It's $4.99 from double proficiency for 52 pages or cards. It's a 50-card deck with encounters, wonders, mysteries, etc. And we've talked about this series before. They're always really fun. Little prompts for you to either use on the spot if you're good at improv and just winging it, or you can use it to kind of prep and kind of develop things. And I'm sure there's a lot of uses for these cards that I'm not even describing, because there's just so many options now, because they've done quite a few series. You can see the Sea of Grass one here as well. And yeah, I like it. I think it adds a lot to your options. So let's look inside. You get to see 10 pages, so quite a few cards here. So this one's called Drip. Dark and dry, the cavern's corridors stretch into the bowels of the earth. As you carefully venture forth, a quiet drip can be heard from ahead, like water from a tap or drool from a grinning maw. So yeah, some fun little feel of what's the sound up ahead, etc. And then you got the chasm, the well, the stalker, hall of light, frogs, encampment, slither, and trapped in these examples. So let's read about the hall of light. It says the narrow pathway suddenly opens into a spacious cavern gleaming with bright quartz crystals adorning the walls. The sunlight entering through unseen cracks illuminates the spectacle. So that could be like how you introduce the area, almost like your flavor text. And then you can have some thematic crystal monster in there, or like a treasure hidden in somewhere, but that could be like kind of your intro. So you see, there's so many uses for these. Maybe you have a monster you want to use, but you don't really have a setting for it. This can give you kind of that flavor text and kickstart your combat yeah, lots of options, encampments. I mean, each of these is so nicely themed. I mean, this has to deal with being underground, which, happens a lot in Dungeons and Dragons. So this one's going to be especially a useful deck. And I think you should look for it under Wayfarer's Deck, Depths of the Earth in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Xanadu, a weird fantasy adventure for characters levels 1 to 2. This is for Dungeon Crawl Classics OSR. By Vasily Kiliman and Singing Flame. It's $7.99 for 40 pages, and it's got a lot of great reviews on it. It says, "Welcome to the Cult Temple of Xanadu, an atmospheric temple crawl for use with Dungeon Crawl Classics." It's open. The cult in this story has opened a portal to another dimension. It was activated by adjusting the hands of 3 pendulum clocks in a particular sequence. Once the veil of reality was ruptured between this world and another, the Tooth Fairy stepped through, a winged creature from a dimension made of sweet stuff. The Tooth Fairy slaughtered everyone in their temple for their teeth, which she extracted and ate like candy. Rumors are circulating about unusual happening involving this temple. Many are concerned, and the Tooth Fairy is currently in her dimension. Her appetite is ravenous, waiting to be summoned again. Rewards and riches await those who venture forth and explore the temple or dare to perform the ritual. So you can explore for treasure and magic items, solve how to complete the ritual that summons the Tooth Fairy, encounter and defeat horrible foes, and discover unusual books, maps, etc. as you're there. So new monsters, magic items, etc. You can see the beautiful, all this map layout, numbered items of places to go, the starting of it, the entrance, random effects, each of the keyed locations getting some detail, and the clocks, dealing with the clocks. It's just beautiful to look at, this book, and unfortunately the full-size preview has an error, so we can't look at that, but you can still see just by flipping through, like, what fun little pixel art style layouts, and just gives you a good feeling, and the character sounds interesting with the Tooth Fairy. So I think you should consider it and check it out, and come look at it for yourself under Xanadu in the links below. Give it a click. And that was our last new title for the week. Now let's talk about our exclusive discount next week. It's going to be from Biscuit 10 RPG, their Compendium of the Absurd. It's on sale right now as part of the sale, but our exclusive discount on Monday is going to be even cheaper than this GM's Day sale price for the PDF. And then there's also soft covers. There's combos available. It's for 5th edition. And it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got a brand new class of the Abyssal Knight, 3 subclasses, 14 spells, magic items, player races, feats, lore. So really, and then the physical copy has some additional content as well, so you want to consider that when you're purchasing. But we are going to deep dive into this next week's episode to celebrate it being on our exclusive sale. But definitely make sure you're following us at Splinterverse on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or all of the above, so that you can get access to these exclusive discounts. Some of them, we only offer so many copies, and after people have taken advantage of it, it's gone. And all of them are at least limited by time as well. So you just definitely want to make sure you're following us so you can get all of that, as well as the free content we're giving out throughout the week. The trinkets, the D6 tables, the plot hooks, all of that stuff on our socials as well. So we don't want you to miss that. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, share the video out there, click the links in the video description, support all these awesome creators, purchase their books, leave them reviews, follow them on socials, and if you purchase anything after clicking on those links, especially with this amazing sale going on right now, you're going to be helping the channel quite a bit with a little bit of money from the affiliate program. So we do appreciate that. And consider purchasing any one of our 5 books that came out in 2021. All of those are on sale right now. Everything from Potions with our Potions Unlocked, which is print on demand and digital. Over 100 pages of potion goodness. And we've got tons of Feywild stuff in our Feywild Companion, which is also print and digital. And it's over 150 pages. Lots of VTT stuff for players and DMs. And we've got Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, going deep into Lineages with some new lineage options for any setting. And Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race with fortune telling and adventure hooks and NPCs. And then you've got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets with all kinds of subclasses of familiar, horde magic items, spells, regular magic items, and all themed around dragons. So check those out while they're on sale. And again, this sale that's going on until March 13th is one of the biggest of the year for these sites. So really check, see if there's anything on your wish list. But start by clicking one of our links so that you can help the channel while you're making that shopping trip. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and all the great creators out there. I look forward to your work next week as well. And until next time, happy adventuring.